All right, Kingsley, let's get into our build here. You had something you wanted to say about it before we got into the build here. I'm going to share my screen.
We were talking about this when we were planning the show, and this is actually a build I was going to recommend last week, but then at the last second, I decided to do a new build just to kind of switch it up, and because I wanted to have something prismatic that would maybe appeal to Todd or other people that don't want to try Arc, but I kind of regretted not doing this build because if anything, it's gotten even more popularity. I switched back to it. I don't like the build I recommended last week now that I've tried it more. And you were going to mention it too. And I'm telling you, people, the fact that Todd saw this, I still love this build. All the streamers are talking about it. This is a hot build right now.
This build is all about infinite supers. I mean, it's really what it comes down to. And I'm going to share my game screen here real quick. So bear with me here. I'm going to see if I can make sure this works the way it's supposed to. And yeah, hopefully you guys can still hear Kingsley. I have my game on. Me? Oh my God, I'm Fud Games. What are your thoughts on Subaru?
I don't like it. And they made me wear this hat because I didn't pay my car payment on time. No, just kidding. I love my Subaru.
Good to see you, brother. No, we're going over a build here, Elmer Fudd. I know you're not playing a ton of Destiny right now, but it is a good time to be a Warlock right now because my goodness, they have got some builds that are just crazy right now. This build is based on a couple things that have been buffed. Geomag stabilizers and Delicate Tomb are the two main things that you need to know about in here. And the thing with the Geomag stabilizers is they have a perk called Close Enough. Damaging targets with Chaos Reach extends its duration, collecting ionic traces, which grants you energy for more Chaos Reach. Sprinting while near max bolt charge will grant stacks over time. That's with these exotic leg pieces. Trader's Vessel fires a wide horizontal spread when shot from the hip. Final blows with this weapon have a chance to generate ionic traces as well. Powerful foes and opposing guardians always generate ionic traces. This is the Delicate Tomb. What do they call it? A heavy burst? I'm trying to remember what they called this. I think they called it a heavy burst. Let me see here.
Well,
it's called a. Does it really say what kind of? It just says Trader's Vessel.
It's very unique.
Yeah, it's and I actually
because it has a horizontal spread too instead of a vertical.
It's never a good time to be a Warlock. Yeah, it's always a good time to be a Warlock. And then, of course, Tempest Cascade, collecting an ionic trace overcharges the weapon's next shot, jolting targets on hit. I had to have the catalyst for this as well, and that's the one what they're talking about. Collecting ionic trace partially reloads the magazine from reserves as well, in addition to everything I just said. So this build is based on these two things, the Geomag stabilizers, and you see I got my weapon surges on, Kingsley, and also the Delicate Tomb. These both are going to be working together very well. So the first thing we need to look at here is, of course, the aspects and fragments, right? So looking at the aspects and fragments.
First of all, just remind people, this is a Arc subclass, not Prismatic, so you got to be on Arc.
It is Arc. Yes, it's definitely Arc. But if you look at the subclass here, there we go. I don't use a mouse much. Here we go. The first aspect you want to use is the new Ionic Sentry. Accumulate stacks of arc bolt charge while you have bolt charge. Sustained weapon damage generates stacks of bolt charge. At maximum stacks, any ability damage increases a powerful bulk of arc lightning at the target's location. Receiving a stack of bolt charge grants you melee energy. And it also has blind. Combatants are disoriented and cannot fire their weapons. Opposing guardians, HUD is removed and their vision is obscured. I've gotten blind before in Crucible, and it is not a good place to be, let me tell you. So Ionic Sentry, this is the new arc aspect. You have to go to Ikora if it's not lit up. You have to go there and purchase it to get it because it's one of the new ones. And the second one is one that's been around a while called Electrostatic Mind. Your movement speed and weapon handling are greatly increased. After sprinting for a short time, your movement speed is further increased. Repeatedly defeating targets with arc damage makes you amplified. And of course, arc traces. You get a bolt of pure arc energy that travels along the ground seeking toward its creator, which is you. When picked up, ionic traces grant ability energy. You have Jolted. The target is energized with destructive arc light. They take additional damage when jolted and chain lightning to nearby targets. Jolt damage causes overload champions. You know how fun those are. Those will be stunned as well. And then you have blind again. It works very good on unstoppable champions if they get stunned. So this is just packed with goodies right here. So let's get to the fragments. First fragment you want to have is Spark of Beacons. While you're amplified, your arc special or heavy ammo weapon final blows create blinding explosion. And guess what we have? We have a special. Oh, and I have a heavy as well. This is just one of my hullabaloo from, was it Guardian Games, I think? This is a really good compressed wave frame grenade launcher as well. I just threw that in there just for shits and giggles. But this is, of course, what you're looking for. As far as tying into that fragment. Okay, the second one, and they said this pretty much, the second one you need to have for this is Spark of Discharge. Arc weapon final blows have a chance to create an ionic trace. Collecting an ionic trace grants you a stack of bolt charge. You are penalized 10 strength. And then finally, Spark of Frequency. Melee hits increase your equipped weapon's reload speed and stability for a short duration. While amplified, the effects of are increased, and you gain increased stacks, of bolt charge from all sources. So, and there was one here that you could put in wherever you want, but I like this one. It's called Spark of Ions. Jolted targets, defeating a jolted target or defeating a target with bolt charge creates an ionic trace. So you're going to have all these ionic traces just keep coming back to you. Just keep refilling your super, keep refilling your special, because you have that catalyst on this weapon, and it's going to keep increasing all your abilities. So you're just going to be a one-man wrecking crew with this build. It's going to be really nice. So, those are the 4 that I am using right now. But also wanted to mention too, as far as grenades, you can use any grenade you want. I like the pulse grenade. This ball lightning, which is this melee you talked about last week in your build, Kingsley. I haven't used this a whole lot yet. I need to practice using it, but you basically have tickle fingers if you use your melee a certain way when you're running.
When it goes really far.
Do you have to slide to activate it?
No.
Wow. I gotta try
really
this.
Far.
This gets me excited just looking at this. So, and then of course, whatever jumps, and if you want more, empowering riff for more power, or you want to heal, I recommend healing. But, yeah, these are, this setup right here is just an arc making machine. And, Kings, I don't know if you want to add anything to this. Let me go back to the thing here.
Yeah.
Now I'm not.
Do you want to go over like armor mods, or should I do that? Or
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what armor mods I'm going to use here, because I put this together last night. I'm using first. My helmet I'm using because I'm playing PvE. I've got Arc Siphon because that'll create orbs of power when I kill multiple enemies with arc weapons. Which, guess what? I'm using an arc weapon. Special ammo finder just because I had the room to put it in there, so that'll give me more special to drop to refill my special weapon, which is again the Delicate Tomb. And then I've got stasis siphon because I'm using one of my favorite auto rifles right now, which is Fair Judgment. This was the seasonal weapon for all the activities. And on this weapon, you can go with Tombstone, Rhyme Stealer, and you basically create stasis crystals. And when you crush them, you get frost armor. So you get even more resistance there. So that's why I like using this as my primary. Doesn't have quite the range of like a scout rifle, and I'm sure you probably use a scout rifle here, Kingsley, but that's why I have the stasis siphon here. If I kill multiple things with my stasis rifle there, I'll get orbs as well. For my gloves, I've got arc loaders, and I've got bolstering detonation. All that bolstering detonation does is I get more class ability energy when I cause damage with a grenade. It's kind of a no-brainer. On my chest piece, arc damage resistance, solar damage resistance, and if I'm going to be up close to like some bosses that like to stomp, I like having concussive dampener on. So, and of course on my Geomag stabilizers, I'm using arc weapon surge, Kingsley. 2 arc weapon surges for DPS.
Good. Make sure you keep them on next time you raid.
Yes, I will. I'll bring this in just for you, buddy. I tell you what, the Kamehameha or whatever, Kamehameha or whatever they call this super. I have so much fun. I have so much fun using it. It is so much fun. I love it more than the Nova Bomb because you literally are just a beam of pure energy light shooting at the target, and the just the visual of that, and they've actually improved the visual because it was hard to aim it because the way you're floating in the air in third person, it was hard to see where to shoot it. They've improved that as well. So, and I pretty much keep the same stuff on my bonds: bomber, distribution, double bomber. And of course, if you're going into PvE, you got to have 100 resilience. You want to have 100 resilience to make sure you're the most tankiest person in there. And mobility is not quite as important, but it's good to have high recovery because I'm a warlock. That gives me more of my class ability, my riffs or whatever I decide to use there. So that's pretty much the way I put mine together here, Kingsley. Do you want to share how maybe you would do things a little bit differently?
Yeah, it's similar-ish. And the thing about this build, there's a lot of ways you can do it, but we really just have to stress again, if you haven't tried Arc Warlock this episode in this act, and more people have. I was talking to some people the other day and they were having fun with it too. And again, because like the Chaos Reach Super is excellent, especially with the additional buff that Geomag Stabilizers got. It lasts so freaking long. It's really powerful if you stay on target. Sure, it's not a one and done, but because of the buff that it got, I think it puts out more total damage output. You're just losing some time on compared to other things like Nova Bomb or whatever, but you're just losing some time on being able to switch to another weapon. So maybe it's not total damage compared to the weapon part too, but this build is just amazing. When you're using it, I've had times where my super I use it, and then it comes back like 20 seconds later again. And so that alone can give you more total damage output. Of course, it depends on all the ads around you and if you're getting the ionic traces and everything. But it just keeps coming back and coming back. And I love the Amplify. And I want to talk about some slight differences that I'm doing. But first of all, I have been using it with Delicate Tomb also. I think that's a very good option for it right now. You can also run this really well with Cold Heart. I was running it originally with Cold Heart. And it kind of just depends on with both of these, with putting on Special Ammo Finder, which you definitely want. I think Delicate Tomb is the better overall utility version, but Cold Heart is maybe better if you're going to be dealing with some longer range stuff, because of course Delicate Tomb being a fusion rifle doesn't work well with longer range stuff. Now, of course, you could say, well, that's what my primary weapon would be for, but again, I'm talking about just a cool Cold Heart's just such a good special weapon with that range, with that distance. On a couple other things I want to mention, the Onyx Sentry, for people that haven't tried that yet, that's that new arc turret thing that blinds enemies. And it'll also blind you if you get too close, by the way, so be careful on that.
JD Kent was just saying that. He says, be careful if you throw it too close, you'll blind yourself. No, I don't need to do that, especially if I'm
this
on
is
stream.
a really good, this is better than the ones we had in the past, because this works like Gambler's Dodge, where basically it charges up and it gives you this turret that you can throw out, but it doesn't take your grenade. So you can throw this out, and then you can throw out a grenade right after it or before it or whatever. So that is excellent. You can use this and your grenade. You don't have to convert your grenade. You don't have to swallow your grenade or use your grenade or anything like that. And Ionic Sentry is even bugged right now. And this build is amazing even right now. And it's going to be getting even better because Bungie admitted that some of the synergies with Ionic Sentry don't fully work yet. So if this build is already this good right now,
it's being buffed. It's being nerfed right now. Jeez.
Wow. Yeah. This build is technically nerfed right now by at least a little bit. On the fragments, it's kind of like what you mentioned. Those are good ones. Now you can, and there's an article that goes along with this too, but you can swap the Spark of Beacons and Spark of Shock are not required for this build to work well. If you want Cold Heart, you definitely want Spark of Beacons, because Spark of Beacons works really well with that. But definitely at least do Spark of Frequency and Spark of Discharge. Now, what I did instead of Shock is Spark of Resistance, because this gives you even more damage resistance. This is an additional 15%. So if you think about this, we have as Warlocks 30% damage resistance
Right.
if you are doing the 100 resil, right? Which you should do. Like Gator said, like make sure you're at 100 resilience. Then when you're amplified, you get another 15% resistance on top of that. Plus, you get another, in theory, buff because they also buffed something where ads don't lock onto you as easily anymore when you're amplified, they said.
Right.
So that in essence is like a damage resistance too, because if the ads aren't hitting you as easily. And then with spark resistance, that's another 15% damage resistance buff on top of that. So there's times where I'm running this build where I feel like invincible. In fact, I've been playing a little too reckless and going in like a Titan, like Sin or things like that. And I've died a couple times when I'm like extremely careless. But this build, you can feel like a god if you play it right.
Wow. Looks fun.
I'm running with Delicate Tomb, and then I'm running it with Watchful Eye for the heavy right now. That's the new seasonal machine gun. And I have that with Jolting Feedback, so it synergizes really well. It's an arc machine gun, and it synergizes really well with this build.
Okay. Yeah.
For my primary, you can use whatever.
Yep.
But I'm using right now Kept Confidence, the Strand hand cannon, like I mentioned earlier.
From Neptune. Yep.
For the helmet, I actually recommend, you mentioned Arc Siphon, but you can actually use Harmonic Siphon and save energy cost because.
Yes. Thank you. No,
So
actually,
you
I
can
did.
save an energy
Actually,
cost
I
on that.
did use Harmonic Siphon. It just shows up as Arc Siphon. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Because it only costs.
So-
it's half the price. Yep. Or
Yep,
a
half
third of the price.
I use Harmonic Siphon, and then I actually use Kinetic Siphon for the other one because that's where the other kills are going to come from.
Right.
But I think it's really important to have a special ammo finder on the helmet because whether you're doing the fusion or the cold heart, since that arc is so important on your build, you want to have as much ammo as you can. So I really recommend a special ammo finder.
And then, of course, if you have the catalyst done on this, you'll get, as an Onyx Trace comes, it'll actually partially reload from reserves as well. So you won't have to reload as fast too. This might be really good for like DPS.
Yeah. For the arms, I actually use Harmonic Loader because you get even a faster reload.
I did too.
Impact induction and focusing strike, but you can vary those a
Whatever
little
you
bit.
decide to use there. Yeah.
Of course, for the chest piece, the resistance is, of course, for the boots. Now, you can, if you're doing easier content, you don't need to worry about bosses as much. You can have some synergy for the boots. You can swap out the surge mods for those other PvE ability things. But I'm generally running 2 arc weapon surges on my boots because why not? I just want the extra damage. And then, the bond is just basic. I mean, there's some variation there. I'm using Reaper, Powerful Attraction, and Bomber.
Gotcha.
I really like the Powerful Attraction because nearby orbs, you can get them.
I should probably put that on. That makes sense. Because what happens is when you use your, in this case, my Rift, it'll suck all the orbs right to me. Makes it really nice. Anything that's close by, it'll bring it right to me. It's really nice. Yeah. That's a good, I changed that over. That's actually a good idea.
Yeah. So Reaper, Powerful Traction, and Bomber for the class item. But you can play these how you want. The most important thing is like, this is a flexible build. You don't have to do any like crazy, do this step 1AB, then jump up in the air, then slam down and do step 2, then do step 3. Oh, and then you have this energy. No, it just kind of works as long as you're using your arc weapons. You're getting the orbs, you're getting the ionic traces. Be sure to throw out your turret when you have it.
Yep.
And throw out your grenades. I use pulse grenade too. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, it lasts the longest, I think.
Yeah, this build is so fun, and I'm glad because I like switching the subclasses when there's reasons to, and I've had a lot of fun with Prismatic, and I'm sure I'll be switching back to Prismatic soon enough when some other cool build comes out. But I've always liked Arc. If anyone's listened to me on this show or in Guardian Hub, I've mentioned even in the past, like I promote Arc more than other people because again, the amplify is, I think, the best part about it. When you're amplified, you move faster.
Yeah.
You have damage resistance because the ads aren't hitting you as much. It's kind of like another way to deal with staying alive. And once you get used to amplify too, you get annoyed when you go back to the other subclasses and you can't get that faster speed because you get so used to it.
Very true.
So
very true.
Great build. Yeah, we both. Yeah. Have you tried it much?
I haven't tried it yet. I just found out about it. I was just reading an article, and then you said, "Oh, this is very much like what I'm talking about. I was like, well, this must be. And he says, yeah, a lot of people have been talking about this build right now. So I'm like, I haven't used this new aspect yet. So explain how it works again, how this aspect works. You actually throw out turrets?
It charges up. Again, the actual words is you get it charged up by just having kinetic or arc weapon kills. So that's easy with this.
Easy PvE.
And then you'll see your grenade turn to another icon that looks like an upside down U with like a little key in it.
Okay.
But when it's charged up, you don't do anything special. You don't hold or swallow your grenade. You just throw it out and it throws out the turret. But again, it doesn't take your grenade. Then you can throw your grenade right after that.
Oh my God. Really? Oh, that's so much fun. That's going to be so much fun to use.
Yeah.
Wow. So, oh wow. Okay. That's pretty cool. And the turret just shoots electric energy, or is it freeze, or what's it do?
Yeah.
My turret's freeze.
No, it's electric. Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool. Okay. Well, I'm glad we researched that, because man, that looks fun.
Yeah. And it's great with the unstoppable because the blind effects and of course the overload because the jolt effects, like you mentioned. So you got even if you don't have weapons to match that, you got abilities that matches unstop and overload really well.
Yeah. Good deal. Good deal. Well, sorry. One
last thing.
Yep.
I got another reason why I switched to Delicate Tomb recently is because of the artifact, and I should talk about some artifact that synergize with this.
Yeah. I want to do that too. Yeah, because let me pull it up on screen here, because we'll go through it.
Do you have?
Yes.
I'll see if they match up.
We'll see. Let's see. Yes, I did change it over for this build. I went through it. I went through last night and researched it, and this is what I came up with. Let me hold on. Let me go back to my screen here.
I'm just going to mention the ones that specifically synergize with this arc build.
Yeah,
I'm not going to.
I'm gonna pull it up.
Artifact.
Yeah, because there's some strong stuff in here, man. All right, let's start. Well, obviously, the first row is just your champion mods. We don't need to worry about that. So starting in row 2, where are we going?
Overclock and load. While you are amplified, it's at the top. While you're amplified or have bolt charge, arc weapons gain increased handling and reload speed. So even some more. So why not, right?
That's the one I chose. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Did you choose the one down
else
below?
On the
really?
Well, I mean, nothing for the arc part.
Okay. Yeah, this is to do with arc, right?
Again, I'm not reading all of them because people can do what they want for the other ones. I'm just reading the ones that synergize with this arc build.
Okay, in the third row? I think we're going to have
third row, dielectric.
Yes.
Defeating arc debuff targets grant bolt charge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And then photonic flare. Defeating an exhausted or severed target with arc damage releases a blinding burst.
That's so cool.
Okay.
You didn't pick King's Vestige, defeating powerful taken? Well, that's for taking weapons. Never mind. That's for taking.
I'm only mentioning the arc ones.
Okay, right, my bad. And I had the room. I did pick Dreadful Finisher just because it creates special ammo for your whole team. I kind of felt that was apropos here.
I did pick King's Vestige, but that's not anything related
to do with arc. I got you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. And then in the fourth column, flashover. When you gain maximum bolt charge, you also become amplified. So one more thing to help with that. Lightning bolts deal more damage. Yep,
I picked that as well. And then was there anything on the last row?
Well, there is real quick. I mean, I picked Horde Shuttle. That's not technically the arc build, but if we're using a strand weapon, whatever, that's good for that. So
Horde Shuttle?
But on the last row.
Okay.
Yeah, Horde Shuttle was right below Flash.
Unraveling and Threading. Yeah, I had that, but I chose something else.
That's not technically part of this build.
Yeah. Now, did you pick, I know this has, I only picked this because it has to do with the fusion rifle. Is particle reconstruction. It's like one of the greatest hits.
That's what I was getting at, because I finally unlocked that part, and it will buff Delicate Tomb some more. Of course, people are really using that for the heavy fusion, linear fusions for like Queen Breaker and stuff like that, but it'll also work on Delicate Tomb, so why not?
And then add to that, the catalyst is still reloading when you get kills with the Delicate Tomb. I mean, you're never going to have to reload this weapon if you have this equipped. So this is an oldie but a goodie here. Particle reconstruction is a really good perk. I mean, you should have that on just about everything if you use a fusion or linear.
And then the last one you want to have for your last one, because you can have 2 in the last column.
Right.
Defibrillating blast. That's second from the bottom.
Let me
stunning a champion. This isn't as important, but when you're dealing with champions, stunning a champion grants maximum stacks of bolt charge, just like that. And it triggers an arc bolt that heals you and jolts combatants that it damages.
Yeah, that. Yeah, I had something over here picked, Deep Alchemy, that I don't need to be using, that I would put here because I have 11 of my 12 open. I don't have all my
I
12 open
technically
yet.
do too.
Yeah.
I'm a little farther on the bar, I can see, than on your screen,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I already did particle reconstruction, but I'll get defibrillating blast probably within the next week.
Stunning a champion grants maximum stacks of bolt charge, triggers an arc bolt that heals you and jolts combatant. I mean, come on, man.
See how many things synergize here?
Yes.
This I'm telling you, this build, I've had so much fun. I've been running it since basically the beginning of the season, other than last week where I tried that other build for a little bit and I mentioned it on the show, and it's still a good build. I'm not saying you guys should just throw it out, but this build I've come back to, and I know we just talk about Warlock stuff because we're both Warlock fans, but
I was just going to mention, I do have a Titan and Hunter, and I'm going to, in the future shows, I'm going to come up with Titan and Hunter builds as well. Yeah. I'll research it out. Yep. Yeah. That's fantastic. And of course, you know, I have to use piercing sidearms for my anti-barrier champions. Just had to mention that, throw that in there versus a sniper rifle. Okay. Yeah. It's cool, man. I'm glad you reminded me because I was going to mention those things as well when I was looking at it last night. I was putting this build together, and it was pretty nice. It's pretty cool. So yeah,
we should even just like another, like a lower level Nightfall.
We'd probably just destroy everything. Would just be laid to waste.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Well, like I said, it's a good time to be a Warlock, but like I said.